welcome to the NFL Catch-Up Podcast, delivering you a weekly catch-up of the most interesting stories and trends from around the NFL. We drop NFL Catch-Up every Friday morning all year long across the major podcast platforms. You can find us on X at NFL_catchup. We're also available on YouTube and on the web at nflcatchup.com. Let's kick things off with some shocking news out of Las Vegas. Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce has been slapped with an 8-year show cause penalty by the NCAA for violations that occurred during his time as an assistant coach at Arizona State. The NCAA report paints a damning picture of Pierce as the ringleader of a scheme to circumvent COVID-19 recruiting restrictions. He reportedly facilitated impermissible contact with 35 prospects, including tryouts, facility tours, and entertainment. The NCAA also alleges that Pierce directed an assistant to tamper with a player enrolled at another school and traveled out of state to meet with prospects during a dead period. What's particularly concerning is that Pierce allegedly provided false or misleading information during the investigation and was unwilling to cooperate by providing his financial records. One ASU staff member even told the NCAA that Pierce did not fear the potential consequences for NCAA violations due to the financial security provided by his self-proclaimed wealth. This arrogance seems to have extended to his leadership style, with the report stating that Pierce used his position of authority to pressure staff members into engaging in violations, often by instilling fear that they would lose their jobs if they did not follow his orders. The timing of this revelation couldn't be worse for the Raiders, who just hired Pierce as their permanent head coach in January, after he served as interim coach for part of last season. While the show cause penalty only applies if Pierce returns to college coaching, it raises serious questions about his character and judgment. The Raiders organization has declined to comment on the situation, but you have to wonder if they're now regretting their decision to elevate Pierce to the top job. Shifting gears to some on-field matters, the Minnesota Vikings have been one of the biggest surprises of the young NFL season, starting off 4-0 and greatly exceeding external expectations. Head coach Kevin O'Connell was asked about why so many analysts and pundits were so wrong about the Vikings' potential this year. His response was illuminating and speaks to the process-driven approach that has benefited Minnesota so far. O'Connell emphasized that he didn't pay much attention to preseason predictions, instead focusing on building confidence within the team and preparing them to compete at a high level from day one. He said, "The greatest thing about this league is we get to roll a ball out for 4 quarters and figure it out together. Sometimes we figure those things out on a little bit different timetable than maybe you guys do." This mindset of ignoring outside noise and focusing on internal improvement seems to be paying dividends. The Vikings have benefited from some fortunate breaks, with opponents missing key field goals and dropping crucial passes. But their success feels earned rather than given. O'Connell pointed to several factors contributing to their hot start, including shrewd free agent signings, strong situational football, and impressive execution in all 3 phases of the game. It's a reminder that preseason projections are often based on incomplete information. The Vikings coaching staff and players have been able to take their confidence in their potential and turn it into tangible results on the field. As O'Connell put it, "It's not necessarily a surprise to me. It's just guys taking the confidence of what might be out in front of us and turning it into action." Now, let's talk about a developing situation in Kansas City that could have major implications for the Chiefs' offense. Wide receiver Rashee Rice suffered a knee injury in last Sunday's win over the Chargers, and there were initial fears that he may have torn his ACL. However, the team has not yet placed Rice on injured reserve, which suggests there may still be some hope for a less severe diagnosis. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid provided an update on Rice's status, saying the team is in wait-and-see mode as they allow the swelling in his knee to subside before conducting further tests next week. Reed's comments were cautiously optimistic, stating, "For his sake, we're really hoping things work out for the best, but let's just see where it goes. Leave it up to the doctors to see. I'm definitely not a doctor." The uncertainty surrounding Rice's injury creates some interesting questions for the Chiefs' offense moving forward. Rice had been emerging as a reliable target for Patrick Mahomes, so his potential absence could force Kansas City to reevaluate their offensive game plan. However, it's worth noting that the Chiefs have a track record of adapting to personnel changes and finding creative ways to move the ball. As we await more concrete information on Rice's status, it will be fascinating to see how the Chiefs approach their upcoming matchup against the New Orleans Saints on Monday night. Will they look to elevate another receiver from within, or might they explore options outside the organization to bolster their receiving core? The next week should provide some clarity on both Rice's long-term prognosis and the Chiefs' plans to address any potential void in their offense. Turning our attention to Jacksonville, the struggles of quarterback Trevor Lawrence have become a major talking point around the league. The former number 1 overall pick has lost 9 consecutive starts dating back to last season, and his performance through the first 4 weeks of this year has been well below expectations. An unnamed personnel executive who spoke to The Athletic offered some insight into what might be behind Lawrence's difficulties. The executive pointed to issues with Jacksonville's offensive line, saying, "They play up front like they can't wait until the play is over. Tough to watch." He also noted that Lawrence is missing easy throws, and that there's bad body language from the offense as a whole. This paints a picture of a unit that's lacking confidence and cohesion, which can certainly contribute to a young quarterback's struggles. Former NFL quarterback and current analyst J.T. O'Sullivan highlighted some mechanical issues he's noticed in Lawrence's game film. He pointed out that Lawrence hopped backward unnecessarily while throwing in the recent loss to the Texans, and also referenced a bad overthrow against the Bills that resulted in an interception. O'Sullivan speculated that there might be some underlying mechanical or fundamental issue affecting Lawrence's consistency. These observations raise some concerning questions about Lawrence's development and the overall state of the Jaguars' offense. Remember, Jacksonville signed Lawrence to a massive 5-year contract extension this offseason, betting big on his potential to be their franchise quarterback for years to come. The pressure is certainly mounting on both Lawrence and head coach Doug Peterson to right the ship quickly. It's worth noting that Lawrence dealt with multiple injuries last season, including a knee issue, high ankle sprain, concussion, and sprained shoulder. While he hasn't been on the injury report this year, it's possible that those previous ailments have had some lingering effects on his mechanics or confidence. The Jaguars find themselves in a precarious position at 0-4, and there are even rumors swirling that owner Shad Khan could consider firing Peterson if things don't improve quickly. This weekend's game against the Indianapolis Colts looms large for Jacksonville. A win could help steady the ship and rebuild some confidence, while another loss would only intensify the scrutiny on Lawrence and the entire organization. Speaking of scrutiny, let's discuss the ongoing saga surrounding Odell Beckham Jr. and the Miami Dolphins. Beckham was brought in this offseason to provide another weapon for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, but he's been hampered by injuries and has yet to make a significant impact. However, there may be reason for optimism based on recent reports out of Miami. Dolphins wide receivers coach Wes Welker provided an encouraging update on Beckham's progress, saying that OBJ has looked great as he works his way back to full strength. This is certainly welcome news for a Dolphins offense that has been somewhat up and down to start the season. While Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have had their moments, the team has been searching for a consistent third receiving option to complement their top 2 targets. Beckham was a full participant in Wednesday's walkthrough, which is another positive sign for his potential availability in the coming weeks. His veteran presence and playmaking ability could provide a significant boost to the Dolphins' passing attack if he's able to get healthy and integrated into the offense. It's important to temper expectations, as Beckham is still working his way back from a serious knee injury that cost him the entire 2022 season. However, the positive reports from practice are certainly encouraging for Dolphins fans hoping to see the dynamic playmaker they thought they were getting when OBJ signed with the team. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to touch on an intriguing development out of Green Bay. Quarterback Jordan Love has been limited in practice this week, but the Packers are still favored on the road against the Los Angeles Rams in Week 5. This speaks to the confidence that both the odds makers and many analysts have in Love's ability to bounce back from a tough outing against the Lions last week. Love's limited practice reps are certainly something to monitor, but the fact that Green Bay hasn't shown much concern publicly suggests they expect him to be ready to go on Sunday. The matchup against a banged-up Rams defense could provide an excellent opportunity for Love and the Packers' offense to get back on track. It's worth remembering that Love is still very early in his development as an NFL starter. There are bound to be ups and downs as he navigates his first full season at the helm of the Packers' offense. How he responds to adversity in these situations will be crucial in determining his long-term potential as Green Bay's franchise quarterback. The Packers coaching staff has shown a willingness to put faith in Love and allow him to work through growing pains. This week's game against the Rams could be a defining moment in his young career. A strong performance on the road would go a long way towards silencing doubters and building momentum for the rest of the season. As we keep an eye on Love's status and potential impact on Sunday's game, it's a reminder of the week-to-week nature of the NFL. Narratives can shift dramatically based on a single performance, and we'll be watching closely to see how Love and the Packers respond to the challenges in front of them. Thank you for listening today. We would kindly ask that you rate, review, share, and subscribe to NFL Catch-Up. Remember, we drop every Friday morning all year long across the major podcast platforms. You can find us on X at NFL_catchup. We're also available on YouTube and on the web at NFLcatchup.com.